At a luxury charity gala in Beverly Hills, surrounded by Hollywood's finest, the room expected only one thing: amusement. Keanu Reeves, the quiet action star known for his stoic roles, had just stepped onto the stage. Not to act. Not to fight, but to play a guitar. Cameras zoomed in, celebrities whispered behind crystal glasses, and producers smirked. To them, this was entertainment, watching the so-called weird guitar guy crash and burn under the spotlight. For years, Keanu had been a mystery in the industry, never chasing the limelight, always walking the shadows of red carpets. But that battered guitar case he carried everywhere, it was mocked, laughed at, like he was some misfit trying to force music into a world of movie scripts and spotlight cravings. They called him that oddball with the strings, never realizing what power he held in those calloused fingers. The plan that night was simple: laugh at the action star fumbling through a tune, a quiet joke for the elite. But what happened instead? No one saw coming. Let's rewind. Los Angeles, 2019. Inside Beverly Hills High, teenage life moved in its own rigid rhythm, popularity ruling the hallways like an invisible monarchy. And in this unspoken caste system, Keanu Reeves, 17, withdrawn, unnoticed, was a ghost. A shadow with slouched shoulders, dark hair shielding his eyes, and a silence that screamed of survival. He walked the corridors with a weathered guitar case in hand. Scratched leather, rusted latches, stickers from bands no one in school recognized or cared to. It wasn't just an instrument, it was his identity. And his curse: the students didn't even use his name. He was just Guitar Boy, not a nickname, a brand, a target. There goes Guitar Boy with his little toy, sneered the girls as he passed. Bet he doesn't even know how to play. Keanu never responded. He had learned that silence was safer than defiance. Better to be invisible than mocked. Better to disappear than to stand out. But invisibility has its own cost. Teachers barely recalled his name, even with his perfect grades. He ate lunch alone, moved through crowds like he wasn't even there. And no one ever wondered what he did. Once he left the building. Because every night, behind his bedroom door, Keanu came alive, surrounded by posters of musicians who screamed truths he couldn't speak. He poured his soul into that guitar. His fingers danced with precision, his voice, timid by day, turned raw and real when no one was watching. Music was his secret language, his sanctuary, his rebellion. Every chord he played carried a piece of the boy he couldn't show the world. Then came the announcement. Beverly Hills High talent show. Night of stars. The posters exploded across campus like a promise of glory. Names filled the sign-up sheets within minutes. Sarah Mitchell, jazz dance; Brad Thompson, comedy; Jessica Chun, piano. The usual suspects, the golden kids, the ones born for applause. Keanu stood in front of the bulletin board, alone, just. For a moment, he stared at the list. Imagined his name at the bottom. Imagined climbing on that stage, playing one of his songs, sharing something real. Then a voice sliced through his thoughts like a knife. Dreaming of being a rock star, Guitar Boy? Brad Connors, the school's golden boy, captain of the basketball team, king of the lunchroom, flanked by his ever-present clique: Mike Harrison, always sneering, and Jessica Santos, beauty sharpened into cruelty. I was just looking, Keanu mumbled. Brad smirked. We all have our fantasies, the others laughed, cold, sharp. It echoed in the hallway long after they walked off. Keanu looked back at the sign-up sheet. But now the names felt like they belonged to a different world. A world he'd never be allowed to enter. What he didn't know was that Brad had just hatched a plan. A plan not of kindness, but of entertainment. Not to support Keanu, but to use him. Because when you've been invisible long enough, eventually someone decides to put a spotlight on you just to watch you squirm, and sometimes that spotlight exposes more than anyone expected. In the cafeteria, the power players of school hierarchy held court. Brad at the center, jacket on like a crown. Mike and Jessica leaning in, laughing at jokes only they found funny. The talent show is so boring, Jessica said, rolling her eyes. Same acts, same people. We need a twist, Brad grinned. Something the whole school would remember. Like a train wreck, Mike added. Someone completely unprepared, humiliating themselves on stage. Then, like fate answering their cruelty, they all turned and saw him dock Keanu, alone, in the corner, holding that guitar case like it was the only thing left in the world he trusted. Like always, he sat alone, calmly eating his sandwich, eyes fixed on a weathered paperback. The cafeteria buzzed around him, but Keanu was a world apart. His old guitar case rested beside him like a loyal companion, scratched, scuffed, but ever present. To him, it was part of who he was. To others, it was just another reason to whisper from across the cafeteria. At the table where power and popularity reigned, eyes locked onto him. "Perfect," Jessica muttered, her lips curling into a cruel smirk. Can you imagine him trying to perform? In front of the entire school? Laughter flickered around the table like a spark hitting dry leaves. The image spread quickly, Guitar Boy, trembling under the spotlight, mumbling his way through a clumsy performance, fingers fumbling on the strings while the audience sat frozen in awkward pity. It would be devastating and, to them, hilariously unforgettable. "I'll talk to him," Brad said, already rising from his throne like a predator approaching an unsuspecting target. The chance to humiliate someone publicly fed something dark inside him, something that wore confidence like armor and cruelty like perfume. He walked toward Keanu's table with practiced ease, every step echoing with entitlement. His friends watched eagerly from behind, waiting for the show to begin. "Hey, Keanu," Brad called out, his tone wrapped in forced warmth. Keanu looked up, surprised. The voice didn't match the setting. The king of the school, speaking. To him, his eyes blinked in caution like someone who had seen too many traps not to suspect one now. "Mind if I sit?" Keanu hesitated, then nodded. "Sure." Brad sat down like he belonged there, like he belonged everywhere. "So, man," he gestured casually at the guitar case, "everyone knows you play. You're probably really good, right? You're always carrying that thing." Keanu shifted. I enjoy it. I don't know about being good." "That's awesome, man, really?" Brad's smile widened. "You've heard about the talent show, right?" Keanu nodded again, slower this time. The weight in Brad's voice made the air feel heavy. "Well, we were going over the list." Brad leaned in, lowering his voice like he was sharing something sacred. "It's the same stuff. Same dancers, same skits, same boring routines. We need something different, something real." That word, real, cut through Keanu's doubt. For a second, he didn't hear the sarcasm. He heard recognition. "You should sign up," Brad said smoothly. "Show everyone what real music sounds like." Across the room, Jessica and Mike watched with wicked anticipation. Keanu's confusion was written all over his face, the hesitation, the disbelief, the flicker of hope that maybe this was real. Maybe someone finally saw him. "I've never really played in front of anyone," Keanu murmured, eyes flicking away. "That's exactly why it would be perfect," Brad replied, capitalizing on the hesitation. "Fresh talent, a real surprise? I heard Mrs. Patterson's looking for something bold this year. Something that blows the judges away." It was a lie. But Keanu didn't know that. He only knew what it felt like to be invisible, and now, suddenly, he wasn't. "Just think about it," Brad said, standing up like the decision had already been made. "The sign-up sheet's outside the office. Don't wait too long. Spots are going fast." As Brad walked away, triumphant, Keanu sat still. The sandwich on his tray sat forgotten. The paperback might as well have been blank. His mind raced. Could it be real? Could he be what the show needed? Back at the royal table, the laughter resumed, quiet but sharp. "He's actually going to do it," Jessica whispered, eyes gleaming. "Did you see his face? He thinks he's special." "This is going to be epic," Mike added. "We should record it." Full meltdown live. They had no idea what they'd set in motion. They saw a quiet, awkward kid with an old guitar case. They didn't see the sleepless nights of practice, the blistered fingers, the aching voice buried beneath layers of fear. They didn't see him, but Keanu sat there, alone, confused, on the edge of something unknown. One choice stood before him: sign up and risk everything. or stay hidden in the shadows that had kept him safe but empty. Sometimes when you push someone too far, you find out they've been learning to fly all along. Brad's little prank, this setup for public shame, was about to turn into something none of them could predict. Keanu stood. The walk from the cafeteria to the main office felt endless. Every step was heavier than the last. The hallway stretched like a tunnel. Lockers lined the walls like silent witnesses. He stopped in front of the bulletin board. The sheet was nearly full, bold names in proud ink. Sarah Chun, Marcus Williams. Drama Club. He stood frozen, pen in hand, breath shallow. The air around him thickened. Then, slowly, his hand moved. Keanu Reeves. Guitar performance. His name looked strange there, as if it didn't belong. And yet, it fit, like it had been waiting for this moment all along. Whispers traveled faster than fire. By the last bell, everyone knew. Did you hear? Jessica beamed. He actually signed up? This'll be the best talent show ever. Brad laughed. I kind of feel bad, someone whispered in a study group. What if it's a disaster? Or what if... David from the school paper hesitated. What if he's incredible? But no one really expected that. Not yet. As the days passed, the cruelty sharpened. Hallway laughter followed Keanu like a shadow. Students stared now, not because they saw him, but because they were waiting for the collapse. There's our headliner. Brad would shout across the hall. Ready for your big moment, guitar boy? And Keanu? He said nothing, but during lunch he stopped going to the cafeteria. He went to the music room, and there, away from the noise, he practiced, quietly, relentlessly. Alone. But no longer unsure. Even in the quiet sanctuary of the music room, Keanu couldn't escape the storm. The strings beneath his fingers offered momentary comfort, familiar and grounding, but the whispers still found him. Echoes from the hallway leaked through the walls like smoke. He'll forget the words. What if his guitar snaps a string? Someone should definitely film this. Each comment wasn't just a jab, it was a calculated strike, engineered to break him down. Psychological warfare. They didn't want him to fail on stage. They wanted him to give up before he even got there. Mike Harrison found him in the library one afternoon, wearing a smile that was all surface. Hey Keanu, how's the prep going? He asked, every syllable soaked in fake warmth. Hope you're practicing. The whole school's gonna be watching. Keanu didn't look up. I am, he said, voice steady but soft. Mike leaned in like they were sharing a secret. Just a tip. Pick a song people know, something safe, something easy to sing along with. The condescension wasn't even subtle. It was a trap disguised as advice, a way to push Keanu into mediocrity, to make sure that even if he did perform, he wouldn't stand out. Thanks, Keanu replied, barely audible. As Mike walked away, Keanu felt the full weight of what he was up against. This wasn't just stage fright. This was cruelty masquerading as concern. His presence on that sign-up sheet had become school-wide entertainment, and he was the punchline. But somewhere beneath the noise, something unexpected stirred. He didn't break, he burned. Each cruel laugh, each whisper behind his back, each passing glance of mockery. It didn't chip away at him, it forged him, hardened him. Like metal in a furnace. Late into the night, Keanu sat cross-legged on his bedroom floor, guitar in hand, fingers aching, voice raw. He wasn't rehearsing anymore. He was fighting, not for them, not to win them over. He was fighting for the boy inside him who had been silent for too long. The one who had dreams bigger than ridicule, louder than doubt. The song he chose wasn't popular or polished. It was honest. It was his melody carved from loneliness. Lyrics about being unseen. A voice that had waited too long to be heard. One afternoon, Mrs. Henderson, his music teacher, approached him after school. Her expression was gentle, but her eyes carried weight. Keanu, are you sure you want to go through with this? He hesitated. It would be so easy to back out. So easy to retreat into the comfort of anonymity, but then he thought of all the hours spent with that guitar. The countless moments where music was the only thing that made him feel real. The pain, the doubt, all of it would mean nothing if he walked away now. I'm sure, he said. And for once he meant it. Mrs. Henderson smiled. Whatever happens. Up there, you've already done something most people are too afraid to even try. The day of the talent show arrived, buzzing with anticipation. But none of them, not Brad, not Jessica, not the whispering students, had the slightest idea what was about to happen, because what they saw as weakness had quietly become strength. And when the spotlight finally hit, the boy they tried to break was going to rise. Not for applause, not for fame, but for himself. It feels less like school and more like slow psychological torture. Teachers speak, but their voices blur into background noise. Keanu's mind loops through disaster after disaster, missed notes, a broken string, laughter. Every fear fights for attention. But beneath the noise, something unfamiliar has begun to stir. A quiet resolve. It didn't appear overnight. It was forged in silence, strengthened by every smirk, every cruel whisper. When the final bell rings, he drifts home like a ghost. The talent show begins at 7. That leaves 3 hours, somehow both a lifetime and the blink of an eye. At home, the routine becomes ritual. A long, hot shower, dark jeans. A simple black shirt his mother ironed just for tonight. In the mirror, he doesn't see confidence, not quite, but there's something new, a calm acceptance. A readiness, he is who he is. And that's enough. By 6, the auditorium is alive. Students pile in wearing their weekend best, buzzing with excitement. Parents arrive next, phones charged and eyes sparkling, ready to capture their children's big moments. Backstage, it's organized chaos. Performers warm up, costumes are checked, voices whisper nervously. Laughter hides fear. Keanu finds a corner, away from the crowd, guitar across his lap. He runs through the song in his mind. In his room, it sounded pure. Now it feels fragile. What if they don't get it? What if they hate it? He closes his eyes. Then Mrs. Henderson's voice echoes in memory. This isn't about proving anything. You're not performing for them. You're sharing a piece of yourself. That's enough. 5 minutes to curtain. The show begins. With a blur of applause and stage lights. A violin solo earns a standing ovation. A Shakespeare scene brings polite murmurs. A comedy routine leaves the audience howling. Each successful act tightens the knot in Keanu's stomach. What am I doing here? What made me think I could belong? Keanu Reeves, you're up in 3, says Mrs. Patterson, clipboard in hand, voice crisp. 3 acts. That's all that stands between him and the moment that could define or destroy everything. He opens his guitar case. The instrument feels heavy, foreign, the strings unfamiliar. He tunes it with trembling fingers. Applause crashes through the walls as a dance troupe finishes their routine. 2 acts left. In the crowd, Brad and his crew lean forward, perfectly placed in the center. Phones out, thumbs hovering, smirks locked in. They're not just watching, they're waiting. 1 act left. The magician exits with a bow. A crowd claps. Keanu barely hears it. Mrs. Patterson puts a hand on his shoulder. Her voice is warm, steady. You're going to be wonderful. Just remember, you're not here to impress them. You're here to be honest. There's power in that. The curtain falls. The lights dim, silence wraps around the room, and then, ladies and gentlemen, her voice rings out, please welcome Keanu Reeves performing an original composition. The words land like thunder. This is it. Every insult, every doubt, every moment of loneliness, all of it led here. He walks into the light, guitar in hand, swallowed by brightness. The familiar auditorium becomes a foreign world. His vision narrows. 300 eyes watch, some curious, some kind, others waiting for him to fall. Keanu adjusts the microphone. It screeches slightly. The room holds its breath, and then nothing. His mind goes blank. The song is gone, just silence, then a voice, low and cruel from the dark. Come on, guitar boy. Laughter, small, ugly. This is the moment they wanted. A collapse. A failure, but in the shadows at the back of the room, he sees her, Mrs. Henderson, watching, nodding. Her expression says it all. Trust yourself, and something shifts. The fear doesn't vanish. It sharpens, clears. He chose this moment. He belongs here. His fingers press the first chord. A little shaky, but real. The second chord follows. Then the third. Then, impossibly, he begins to sing. And the room changes. It's not the awkward murmur they expected. His voice is raw, honest, alive. Each note carries something real. Pain, strength, vulnerability. He's not performing, he's revealing, and one by one. The crowd leans in. Brad's smirk falters. This isn't the failure he was promised. The applause begins as a whisper. One person clapping, then another. Then dozens. Then the wave hits. A standing ovation rolls through the auditorium. Cameras forgotten. Every student, every parent, every teacher, on their feet. Some are crying, some are cheering, all of them are changed. On stage, Keanu stands in the light, not hidden, not small, seen, fully. He opens his eyes, and for the first time in his life, he is seen. In the crowd. Brad stares, frozen. Jessica whispers, almost in awe, "How did we not know?" Mike just shakes his head. "We're idiots," he mutters. Mrs. Patterson steps forward, beaming. "Ladies and gentlemen, Keanu Reeves." The room erupts. And as he walks off stage, the same voices that once mocked him now rise, not in cruelty, but in respect. "That was amazing, Keanu. You crushed it, man." Backstage, he opens his guitar case with shaking hands. Mrs. Henderson smiles. "That wasn't talent," she says. "That was truth. That was someone stepping into who they're meant to be. The joke meant to destroy. Him? It revealed him instead. He stepped on that stage invisible. He walked off transformed, ready now for the light."